Well, ladies and gentlemen, I'm here with Dan again. This is take two.
Hey,
Always,
hey.
always love working with Dan. Wanted to come back because his interview was very popularly received here at Real Life Trading because so many people are just excited about what Trendspider is doing, and if it's being done, Dan's doing it.
We're trying.
Yeah, or
So,
at least working on it. Exactly, exactly.
yep,
So we're just kind of coming back to look at some new features, look at some of the new some new rollouts. Talk about just overall trend progressions in the charting software world.
definitely, man.
Yeah,
And we've been busy. We've got a lot of really cool new things that I'm pretty excited to show off. So,
yeah.
it's kind of a hard to figure out where to start even.
I like
Um,
it.
did we touch on your patterns last time we spoke?
Yeah, we
Did we do
did.
this?
We did.
Okay. Awesome. So, just to point that out one more time, we have a lot of Jeremy's patterns built right in under Newsome candles,
Yep.
right? So if you want to play with those, that's where they are.
Yep.
And we've added a ton of other stuff since then that's really interesting. So I'll just go through it.
Yeah, man.
I'll probably start with kind of the weirdest and most esoteric and work my way back into reality,
Okay.
if that makes any sense.
Let's do it.
And let's start with analysts.
Okay.
Do you ever look at analysts?
When you say no, nope, never seen
Yeah.
what you just clicked on.
Yep. Like analysts like J.P. Morgan
That's
or
sick.
Citibank,
Yeah, that's really
right?
cool.
So this is something new that we just built out, and this is under a category that we call asset insights. And it's kind of a project to take things that are not technical in nature and make them easy for a technical trader to consume and incorporate in their trading in a natural way. Right. So, like, we're all used to looking at volume bars. We're all used to seeing like a little yellow circle for earnings. Right. Why can't the same thing be done with analyst recommendations? Right. And that's what we've done here. So, this lets you see who's worth paying attention to, either as an indicator or as a contraindicator, and who's just noise.
Sure.
So, first thing, I love using Tesla as an example because it's a really good example, right? But this works on any symbol, right?
Yep.
So, first thing I'll cover the top left thing, which shows you the change in opinion over time, right? So you can see like this guy, Canaccord Genuity, was bullish 10 months ago, reiterated bullish, 5 months ago, said, I'm not so sure anymore, hold. Right, you
Yep.
can see kind of the opposite happening here. Gives you at a glance to see how indecisive these analysts are.
Sure.
Then at the bottom of our chart, we actually plot their recommendations with the price action, right? And this is, you'll notice as I zoom out, they kind of spread out a bit,
Yep.
right? And this lets you see who's a good contra indicator and who's a good indicator. Ooh, I need to close my Slack. Those notifications are crazy. So what's interesting here is like, who called the bottom here, right? Well, like, let's look at who said sell. Like, who's really bad? Citigroup said sell at the
Yeah.
very bottom of Tesla, right? Since they said sell, Tesla gained 900%,
No big
right?
deal.
You can also see next, Barclays confirmed a sell, right? You can see, I think this is RBC, right? So you can then go on the side here and click on RBC. You can click on Citigroup. If we
It
can
kind of
find
highlights
Barclays,
it.
you can click
Yeah.
on Barclays, right? Let's pick one that's been right too. So like, who switched from hold to buy here? Right, Roth Capital. So let's see if we can find Roth Capital in our list here.
Now, just to make sure, can you show how to get into the analyst estimates?
Yes, I will show you guys that.
Okay.
I forgot. Thank you for pointing that out.
All good.
There's Roth Capital. Right, so I've selected them all. Now I'm going to go to my chart legend, and I'm going to go to the analyst estimates here. I'm going to click the three dots. I'm going to switch it from all to only my favorites and click apply. And now I can see how reliable this is, right? So let's see. Citi or RBC said sell here. Our Roth Capital downgraded to a sell, and price had a 200% rally, right?
Yep.
Like you can start to correlate this stuff, right? Like who's kind of right, short term. Well, RBC was right here. They called the top, right? And Roth called the top, right? So like what's fun is if you just kind of whittle this down and you're like, okay, who's really bad, right? Like Citibank, right? Like most of these guys tend to make you wrong consistently.
Sure.
And when you can find who's a good contra indicator and a good indicator, right? It's just another signal, right? Like Citibank, I'm pretty sure this one's Citi right here, right? Yep, Citigroup confirmed a sell, and price is starting to rally. Surprise, surprise, right?
Brutal.
So this is something I found to be really fascinating and really easy to incorporate into your trading, right? Because you can just add this to your chart. You don't have to have this giant side panel open, right? Like you can just set this to show only, show everything, or only show upgrades or downgrades, right? You know, you can make it so it's small so they don't take up a ton of space even by unchecking label, right? And you can just have a quick way to see, you know, what's going on in terms of fundamental analysts go, you know, on your price chart. And this is granular, right? Like as you go down timeframes, right? Intraday, right? You know, all that, you can start to correlate like when they said sell exactly.
That's
you know,
wild.
like intraday.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Right. So this is something that's not available in any other charting tool that I'm aware of.
Yeah.
We buy this data from Benzinga, so it's premium data.
Yep.
And
I can see how fired up you are about this too.
Sorry?
I can see how fired up you are about this. It's awesome.
I love it, man. Like, because like it's so hard to find any kind of edge, right? And if I can find an analyst who's always wrong or always right, you know, and I have other reasons to think price is going to go a certain way, and then this confirms it, it's just another checkbox I can check off, right?
Sure.
Gives me more confidence. You know, and it also lets me know what the people who are looking at fundamentals, because I'm not, are thinking.
Yep.
Right. So like this whole idea of bringing fundamental, non-technical data in and making it consumable is really something I'm excited about in general.
Yeah, I agree, because that's one aspect that a lot of technicians forget. I mean, I appreciate fundamentals, and I realize that there's both sides of the, you know, there's three sides of every coin. But in essence, if you can blend a technical and a fundamental piece, that can be a really, really good indication many times.
Agreed. So here's another thing like that we recently rolled out. Are you familiar with the seasonality widget?
Nope. So Jake that's the one he told me to make sure I talk to you about today.
All right. Yep. This thing's amazing. So this is Disney I picked because this is where I know there's a really good example, but this works on anything, right? And there's a few different ways to look at it. So I'll go through them one by one, right? One is let's pick a time period. Let's go back 10 years, right? And we can see what week, this is week of the year, what month of the year, what day of the week, and what hour of the day performance tends to be like on average.
Wow, that is sick.
Right. So here we're looking at the day of the week for the last 10 years, but let's say what's it been like this year, or what's it been like since the beginning of July? Well, since the beginning of July, Wednesday is the best day to own Disney.
Which is interesting because it's up today.
Yeah. This actually plays out a lot. Right. I'm actually blown away by how simple this is and how much this plays out and how few people understand this. Right. So look at this. Right. If you look at Disney going back 10 or 11 years, right, up 100% of the time the 28th week of the year. you can't like, and this year that was like 6 weeks ago, right? Because this vertical line is now. So, and it was up 4%. So, and you want to see how up it was? Well, click on raw data and you get the actual scatter plot distribution. So your worst 28th week was a break-even month or week, right?
Yeah.
You gained 0.06.
Yeah.
Right. So this also, now in addition to the win likelihood, this also gives you a sense of volatility, right? So here's how volatile it was, right? On a plus down. Yeah. And you can also look at all of this together, right? So, you know, this happens to be one of the worst weeks of the year for Disney that we're in.
Yeah.
Right. It only goes up 18% of the 34th week of the year. Right.
Interesting. So, I mean, for seasonality wise, this would show me that we're about to enter a little bit of a bull season.
Yeah.
On Disney.
Yeah. Like that's my theory here is like wait for the end of the crappiest period of time and fucking. Right? Like it seems pretty simple to me, honestly. Like, you know, here, like, you know, wait till the end of the 24th week of the year.
Yep.
Load on some Disney calls that expire like 2 months later.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
You know, and like ride it, right? Like
sure.
This can give you some confidence, right? Especially if you have other reasons to believe that something may happen.
Correct.
Right. And that's how I look at all of this. Like it's all a little bit of info.
I love that. So can you go a little bit
Yeah.
slower into how you pulled that up?
Yep. So I'll show you all of this stuff right now. So,
okay.
And there's one other thing. So this is all in the sidebar, right? So
okay.
I click on sidebar and I go to add, remove widgets.
Okay.
And here I'll just clear it, right?
Okay.
And here I go, add new widget, analyst estimates, add new widget, seasonality, add new widget, watch list or scanner. And I can have multiple, right? Seasonality widgets, and all that. And then one other thing that we also recently added that's kind of fundamental is just a Benzinga Pro newsfeed.
Sure.
This includes their professional paid product, right? So, this is what a lot of people pay Benzinga for.
I was about to say, dude, oh my gosh. They let you do
short,
that?
one-liner things, right? Like are all in here. We pay them so you don't have to. And it's available to all our users for free.
Wow.
I wish I could show you. I'm going to see if I can, because we have so much more fundamental goodness coming into this platform soon. Not there. We have all these internal staging servers, and sometimes the developers have. Here you go. So we're bringing in addition to analysts, splits, dividends, earnings announcements, and hopefully surprises, and then also insider trading data. And insider trading is like the CEO and the CFO buying and selling shares of their own company.
Sure.
Right. And we're making all of this data back testable, alertable, and scannable, including seasonality. It's not right now, but it will be soon. So you'll be able to say, hey, give me a list of stocks that go up 100% of the time next week, last 10 years. Right.
Yep.
So, the idea is to just bring it all in, man. Forget these artificial lines of I'm a technical trader, a fundamental trader. We're all traders, and we'll take any edge we can get.
That's right.
I think we'll all agree with that. So
that's right. Give me any additional insight that I might be right so I can play a little bit heavier.
Yep, exactly. Right. So that's how we look at it. That's also why we added, this is new as well. You'll notice a new time frame called session, right? There's daily and there's session, right? And this is also something unique to Trendspider. Nobody else does this, right? And I'll show you why this matters. Because it's nuanced and nobody understands this, right?
Okay, I'm paying close attention.
But it's meaningful. So the right chart is a traditional daily chart. The left chart is a Trendspider session chart. Notice how one of them has a gap and one of them does not.
Yep.
Right. Right. So there's a reason for that. I don't know why I'm having so much trouble with the circle drawing here, but there's a reason for that, and it has to do with how market data is computed.
Correct.
Right. This gap exists. It's a real gap. Yep. Right. It exists on the futures chart. Right. Even though it doesn't exist on a lot of SPY charts. The reason for that is Bats had one trade go in like a microsecond before close at a weird price, right? Like an odd fill that created that wick.
Sure.
Right. That trade technically should be post-market. It shouldn't count.
Sure.
Right. Any chart that uses Bats data shows that. That wick does not exist intraday. It only exists on the daily.
Yep.
Right. Which is why the session chart builds a daily candle by combining 30-minute candles. It's a way to filter out the official market close noise that occurs when Bats and NASDAQ and all that stuff sync their data up and create weird things like that wick by ignoring the daily candles completely and building our own. These are built the same way a raindrop is built. Right. You'll notice the volume looks different too. Right. That's because exchange reported daily volume never matches the sum of the intraday volume. Right. I don't know why. Right. Maybe it's dark pools get added in, but it just does not match ever. And you can test this in your own broker. You'll see the same thing. So this gives you a different perspective on the same data, which to me has been really helpful. Like I only use the session chart now. Right. The other cool thing is session charts are adaptive. So if you're looking at an FX pair, it's 24 hours. If you're looking at crypto, right, or whatever, like it works just like a daily chart should work.
Oh, finally. So, that's a well-relieved news coming in, man. And that's a killer. The seasonality thing is just blowing my mind. I love seasonality because it does work. I've done a lot like trader almanacs and a lot of those aspects. Are you pulling any, like, where'd you get that data, I guess?
The seasonality? We calculated ourselves off the candles themselves.
That's sick.
Yeah. So that's why we can go back 33 years on a lot of assets, right? Like we have, all the data we have, we can do seasonality with. It works on everything too, on crypto, any asset class, right? It's really interesting on things like Bitcoin, right? Because when you go back to the inception of Bitcoin, you see clear seasonality on a monthly basis, right? Like February is a great time to buy in the February. It always is, right? Mm-hmm. And you just see that, right? Like right now, August would probably, statistically, it doesn't do so well. It might be doing really well this August, but like, the best August in the last 9 years that Bitcoin's had was 20%.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? We may get an outlier year and it may change.
Sure.
And I forgot to show you one thing here. By the way, you don't have to close this to switch symbols. You can just type another symbol.
Oh,
right? And there's a filter box that I forgot to show you, right? Where you can say, okay, I want to see everything for Johnson & Johnson since the beginning of their trading going back 41 years, but let's ignore 2008, 2009, March 2020, 2012, right? You just type them and it'll exclude them from the data.
What? So you have to put the commas though to get.
Yeah, you have to. We're going to make this nicer. This is just version 1 of the filter.
Sure.
But right now you have to just type them, use a 3-digit month and a 4-digit year like this, and it'll just remove them from the data for you.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And one of my biggest takeaways from this right now is that October is a strong month for Johnson & Johnson. They just purchased MNDA, I believe. I forget the actual name of the company, but they just bought another pharmaceutical company that just was out for 5 or 6 years ago.
Yeah, no, that's beautiful. And I mean, on a volatility basis, right? It's not usually that volatile either. I mean, look at how volatile May is.
Yeah.
So, but I mean, this is probably skewing it, right? I might want to remove that, right, from it. But I mean, it's just adding these tools on so people can do more stuff with doing less stuff, right? If that makes any sense.
It does make tons of sense.
Let me show you a couple other things. These are more chart related that are new that I really love. Do you use anchored VWAP, Jeremy?
Yeah, I do.
All right. Yep. So we added automated anchoring. Have you played with that?
I have not the automated anchoring.
All right. So check this out, right? I have 4 anchored VWAPs that I just added here.
Yep.
I'm going to auto anchor this one to the highest high in the last 50 candles. I'm going to auto anchor this one to the lowest low among 50 candles. I'm going to auto anchor this one to the highest high among 200 candles, right?
So the auto anchor is just you click that pink line?
I'm just adding it as an indicator.
Okay.
It will automatically put them on the chart for me.
I see.
Right. I can anchor this one to the most recent gap of greater than half of the ATR. I can auto anchor this one to the year to date. There's a bunch of different ways to do this. And I can apply them, right? And it's just going to put them on the chart for me. And whenever I pull up any symbol, it'll load my VWAPs on it automatically.
Whoa.
Right?
Very, very
so
cool.
And you can see how quick that is, how much time that saves me.
Yep.
Now, what else I can do with this is I can make these continuous, right? So depending on the type of anchor point, right? Let's say month to date, I can have a continuous VWAP that resets every month, just like a VWAP would intraday, right? This resets every month, right? I can also have this reset, weekly. I can have it reset daily, like a traditional VWAP, right? Quarterly, and so forth. And I can create alerts on these automated VWAPs, right? And these are fascinating because this is anchored, for example, quarter to date, right? Yeah. Well, what happens if I have an alert on that VWAP and the next quarter starts? Well, the VWAP will auto anchor and my alert will jump with it, right?
Oh, wow.
Which lets you have a continuous alert based on a VWAP breakthrough or bounce or whatever.
Wildness.
And then not only that, let me clean some of this stuff up, let's get it off the chart, right? But not only that, but we also have this VWAP's anchored to the most recent gap, which you can see there, right? And look at how good this has been as support and resistance now.
Yeah.
But check out what you can do with this. You can also go to its properties, and you can do volatility bands around it, right? You can do percentage bands. And the default settings we use are fib levels, right? But you can have fib-based levels off these. And then there's also finally something called a ribbon, which is something that Brian Shannon invented. Probably won't be too easy to see there. Let me change this to like year to date, right? But you see how it actually gets thicker?
Yep.
The more volume that takes place at the price level the VWAP's at, the thicker the line actually becomes.
Yeah, that's really wild. That's cool.
Right, and you can actually create alerts on these, so it gives you a little buffer zone around it that you can create alerts on as well, and those will jump with it.
That's sick.
Right, so this is some big stuff that saves people a lot of time.
Yeah. One other question / potential just thought: is there any way that we can begin to take the chart and move it more to the left on the daily without zooming in to give more space on the right?
Yeah, people ask me that a lot. I don't know why it's taken so long, to be honest.
Okay.
I will find out. I'll ask again.
Okay.
I think honestly, what it is the devs just want to work on cool stuff, and that's boring.
It's probably too easy. They're like, I don't want to do it.
Yeah, like he gets like I asked him the other day to give me an option to have a dashed and dotted line instead of a solid line.
Yeah.
And like it took me quite a bit of begging for him to finally agree to it. And the way I got him to agree to it is I had to find a colorblind customer to back me up. Right.
Yeah.
It was so hard because like he's like, man, we can do this or we can do, something really sexy and cool.
Yeah.
And I want to do the sexy and cool stuff. And I'm just like, come on, man, like we need dashed lines. Like,
Yeah.
So anyway, I will ask again. I'll let you know.
Cool. Appreciate it. Because either that or
I'm with you. Like I would love it too.
Okay.
I think I personally, don't like to have to zoom in to get that space, and I like to be able to draw into the future sometimes. So I get it.
Yep. All right. Right on.
So do you use volume profile much?
Yeah. I'm beginning to use a lot more recently.
Do you use this one, the measured one?
Oh nope. Measured one just blew my mind.
So this is my new favorite thing. Check this out. So the trick to it is to go around the candle you want to start at. So I want to measure from the high, so I'm going to go to the one right before it.
Okay.
And then I'm going to go to the one right after the low, because these are not actually measured, right? It's the ones to the left of them that are. But look at this.
Wow.
That's the VWAP from this down move, is the resistance that this cannot get through still.
Incredible.
Give me another symbol, man. This plays out in every single
chart. Let's go look at Goldman Sachs.
Good old Goldman Sachs. Let's look at Goldman Sachs. I've already done this on Goldman Sachs.
Oh, okay. So, I'll do one more.
But so I know it works out, but I will show you on Goldman. So
yeah, look at that.
Struggle here. Now it's support, and this is the point of control. So here's my trick with this, right? Like I try to avoid consolidation. You have consolidation up here, which is why you saw multiple lines. So I will then move it here and see how that changes it.
Yeah.
Right, and you see how that's calling that. And then I'm going to move it one more time to avoid as much consolidation as I can.
Yeah.
Right, and do that. And that's how I end up with these like multiple lines like this that kind of look like fibs.
Yeah.
Right, and then I'll do it in the other direction. Right, so I'll start here and I'll go all the way up. Right, and then you slowly start to just remove points of consolidation to see if you're finding anything interesting. Right?
I see.
Right. Because this is like, if you think about what we're doing here, right? Like at a psychological level, right? This is where the people who tried to catch a falling knife, right? Or who chased got into the trade.
Correct.
Right. So when price retraces to their level, they're getting out, right? Or they're getting in because they missed their chance. So it's really interesting how these work, because these are averages, the yellow ones, and the red one is just like a popularity contest. Right.
Sure.
But like if you do this, right, you start to identify some really interesting levels. Right. And I usually don't do these take consolidations too much. If you measure this for a consolidation like this, it's just going to go down the middle usually. Right.
Yeah.
Like something like this.
Yeah.
Right. So it doesn't really tell you a whole lot.
Yeah.
But when you measure it on like big moves one way or another, it tells you an awful lot about, the price and all that stuff. So
here's a random question. How do I get the lines to go all the way across my screen on a click?
Like this?
So exactly. Like let's say one of those lines to just go all the way to the left.
Oh, to the left. You can't right now.
Okay.
That is something I've requested. There'll be a checkbox here that'll say extend all the way to the left.
Got it.
But it's not there right now, unfortunately.
Okay, no worries.
There's a lot of little things that we're missing. We've got like cool shit and we're missing little shit.
It's okay. Like I said, that's why I love working with you, man. I ask and you're like, yeah, let's go figure it out.
Yeah. So this is something that's been really fun. On Tesla, I've had a lot of fun with this one because like these yellow lines are those levels from these measured VWAPs, right?
Okay.
So like this one was really telling. Like
once it gapped above that, game over.
Sorry?
I said when it gapped above that the other day, game over when they announced that split.
Yeah, no kidding, man. So many people got destroyed here, right?
Yeah.
But like, you can see how effective these levels are on Tesla here.
Yep.
So like when you're trading this, like if you measured this move, this pullback got a lot of people out, right?
Yep.
But like if you know there's a VWAP from this move on the way up here, it gives you a level to watch. And it's just amazing how consistent these can be, right? And like we'll try another one from here, right? Let's just see, right? Like, and then from here, like, like once it breaks out from basically the VWAP of this, like you're free and clear. Like it's a whole new way to find horizontal levels that I found.
That's so sick. I like that a lot, man. Appreciate you showing
Yeah.
that.
So,
here's a question. So if you pull up Cloudera, CLDR.
CLDR.
Yeah, and do you guys have any kind of cool things that might be missing in relations to Bollingers? Anything different? Because right now this one's in a Bollinger Band squeeze, and I didn't know if you guys had any indicators that showed like anything more interesting than just the Bollinger.
So we have the TTM squeeze.
Okay.
Right. It's called, if you put TTM, it's called Bollinger Band Keltner Channel Squeeze.
Okay.
Are you familiar with that one?
I'm not.
So this is a interesting indicator. There's Bollinger Bands, and then there's Keltner channels. Right. And it's called a squeeze when they invert their natural positioning, right? With I believe it's the Bollingers on the outside of the Keltners.
Okay.
Right. So like here you have a squeeze, and you see how the indicator turned red here. Right. So that's one that's exactly what this is. Like when this indicator is red, it's the Keltner channel is within the Bollinger Band.
Oh.
Right. And when it's green, it means it popped out, and then the direction of the histogram kind of tells you which way it went, right?
Okay.
So this is one indicator a lot of people really like.
That's cool.
I don't fully get it. Like I'm not a big indicator guy to begin with, right? I'm much more on trend lines and horizontal levels.
Right.
I only use RSI in my actual trading.
Right.
Like occasionally I'll put the PPO on, right? Like just to see if it's crossed, but I don't actually make any decisions based on that.
Yeah.
Right. And like anchored VWAP, right? And anchored VWAP is just to find a volume level, which I then put a horizontal line at usually.
Sure.
Right. Like, if I were long this, my stop would be around $10, right?
Yep.
Like under the anchored VWAP, right? And then I'd probably get rid of the anchored VWAP because I think lines on my chart are annoying. But like, this is one that a lot of traders that I respect really like.
Okay. Okay. I appreciate you showing that to me. That's
there's also one other new indicator around Bollinger Bands, that Fibonacci Bollinger Bands, which is a kind of a crazy one.
Yeah. Show me this.
Right.
Ooh.
But these are Bollinger Bands where the deviations are based
numbers.
off fib levels.
Of course. We're such nerds. Traders are such nerds.
We are nerds. I have a Fibonacci tattoo on my arm.
There you go, my man.
So I'm a big nerd. I also have a candlestick chart on my arm.
There you go.
There's this one. This one's cool. Like I haven't used it much, but I mean, I've seen it play out, and it seems to be very predictive. Like, I mean, you can see on these pullbacks how nice it seems, but like it's just so noisy.
Yeah. Yeah,
right.
It is. There's a lot to it. It's hard to track.
So there's that. There's a whole bunch of new operators for the scanner. I don't know if you use the scanner much, but there's a lot of really cool operators that we've added. Like the way we add them is we add a special indicator. So we added like candle range and candle time, right? And change percent, right? So you can now have like a scan that looks for, any stock where like on the 5-minute chart, I don't know, price, close, greater than indicator, or I'm sorry, I did this wrong. I had to do the indicator first. But you can like scan for things based on their change percentage, right? Just like any other scanner.
Yep.
Which was a limitation of our scanner before, right? Which is no longer a limit. So
and
you
can
guys
say like demo this all the time too for people.
Yeah, we love demoing the scanner. This is my favorite thing in the world, man.
Yeah.
Like I can't tell you how much I love this one particular scan.
Yeah.
Right. It's so simple. It's 3 inside bars in a row on the weekly time frame. Right. And I run it against like a small cap window like the Russell.
Okay.
Right. And if you think about what this means, 3 candles on a weekly time frame, all inside the previous one.
Yep. So
that's going to give you super tight coiling.
Yep.
Right. And almost every trade I've taken over the last, several months since we launched the scanner has been off this exact scan.
Oh, nice.
Right.
Okay.
This one keeps coming up for me, right? Like UEC.
Uh-huh.
which is like uranium something. I don't actually know what it is, but I mean, you can see what this looks like. I've already done some TA on this because I already looked at this one earlier.
Yeah.
But if you zoom in onto the daily chart here, I mean, you've got really tight consolidation. So it's very easy to say, okay, like if this is going to be bullish, it's going to first break this, create alert there, and go about your life, right?
Right.
And that's exactly how I trade. Like I run this scanner. I look for a level I can create an alert on. I don't do a lot of TA. Like this is another one that I found recently, right? That I probably have an alert on somewhere, right? And when my alert goes off, then I usually will wait for a retest.
Yep,
exactly. And do more TA at that point, right? Like that's when I'll look for profit targets and things like that. I don't worry myself with getting too deep into analysis until it's giving me a reason to pay attention to it.
Sure. How's trading been for you the last few weeks and months? Been crushing it?
Which one?
Trading.
Oh, dude, trading's been fucking amazing with this last few months. I had a killer trade yesterday or last few days. That let me see if I can find it. I think it's still in my ideas. Yeah, this IMRA thing was incredible. I don't know why, but I sold this at 30 and 31. Right when I was in over here, and this was just like I woke up pre-market. It was trading at 21.50. It was just above my trend line here, so I was encouraged. And then next thing I know, my alert on this anchored VWAP up here is going off.
Sure.
Right. And I'm just like sell, right? But this was amazing. I've had a few great trades. There's a few losers, and a few stupid decisions I've made. I don't pretend to be an amazing trader. I screw up a lot.
Yeah.
Right. There's things that I didn't buy that I wish I did. Arlo being one of them. Right. Which I still might. I'm waiting for the retest on this guy. But I knew about this one and it broke out here. Right.
Yeah.
And I watched this retest here and I didn't touch it. Right. And that's normally what I would have done. So now I want to wait for the next one, right?
Arlo coming back to life.
How about you? Anything cool?
Man, I just been having a lot of fun on Tesla. I think last time I was on the trading pit with Jake, I was like, guys, this is going to go to 1,600. If this thing breaks out, it's gone.
I've bag held Tesla since $200, right? And it's so much easier than trading that one is just own it.
Hey, yeah, that and Apple, man. A lot of times, just be in it and just let it do its thing for a little bit.
Yep.
Yeah.
But I like this guy I found on that same scanner a little bit ago. I've been watching it for it to start to reverse here.
GRTX.
I love these setups, man. You can find such good setups.
Well, I'm a big. So it's funny that you and me both love RSI. And I think I have an RSI indicator that you would probably dig. That I like to talk to you about one day maybe. But it's very, very similar to what you have in the sense of it just helps scan for really good divergences. Because once you can get a nice divergence on RSI, man, sometimes that's all you need. Yeah,
check out, there's a scanner I made that's in here called Spider Scan. It's called Spider Scan Divergence Reversal. This actually looks for bullish divergence on RSI.
Oh, beautiful.
So it looks for TD9, so 9 candles in a row, each one closing below the 1.4 before it.
Yep.
Right. And then it looks for any of these 5 RSIs, so one of the last 5, to have been oversold. And then it's looking for any of these RSIs to be greater than the previous ones, right? So we'll see what we'll find here. But usually you can find some pretty decent divergences with this.
Yeah, divergence plays can be a lot of fun.
Nope, nothing. The problem with picky scanners is sometimes you don't get anything.
Yeah, that's okay. That's all right.
It's actually how you know it's a good scanner. If
That's
it gives
right.
you results every time, what good is it?
Correct.
Since you like RSI, let me show you one indicator that is new.
Okay.
You probably don't know of. Have you seen this Ultimate RSI by Brad Kruger?
Nope.
So this is cool. It's 2 RSIs.
Who's Brad? Brad Kruger.
He's an indicator developer that makes Thinkorswim indicators.
Okay.
We had a customer ask us if we could bring this in, and I reached out to him, and he gave us permission to put it in there.
There you go.
And he gave us the code for it, which, it's nothing too fancy, but this is 2 RSIs, right? It's a 14 period and a 21 period RSI.
Oh,
right?
Nice.
Then it's got Bollinger bands around it based on a 20 period average of both RSIs.
Okay.
Right? With a standard deviation up, and you can do EMA or SMA.
Yeah.
And then it has a 20 and oversold and the source, right? And then it has this concept of strong and weak up, right? So I don't think these are the best colors to pick here. Let me change these so it's just a little bit easier to see. right? But you can see how there's like brighter periods and lighter periods in the RSI, and the Bollinger Bands actually act as resistance and support for the RSI.
Yeah.
Right. So if you're in an uptrend, right, and it's bounce and RSI is pulling back, right, it doesn't necessarily mean you're reversing, right? It means it's a way to stay in the trade longer.
Sure.
Right, because like on this move, if I would have been lucky enough to catch Funko here at this $3 bottom, right, like I would start getting very nervous when it started to pull back here.
Sure.
Right. But if I was watching this, right, like if I hadn't drawn a trend line on the RSI, I'd say, okay, it's holding the middle Bollinger Band of these RSIs. Like it could keep you in the trade. Right. And then when it starts getting green and hitting the top and breaking through the middle, right, that's when, it's a good way to get out. It's a different type of RSI.
That's pretty cool, man. Thank you for sharing
and
that.
I've done some things just because the two RSIs confuse me, so I've just made them both the same number, right? Which makes it a little bit simpler for you to look at.
Sure. Pretty sweet, right, man. Well, thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it, dude. This is amazing. I'm gonna lose all kinds of sleep over the seasonality.
Yep, seasonality is fun. Let me show you one last thing, and then I'll stop boring you with features because I'm sure people are like glazing over in the eyes here. So MTFA, right?
Yep.
Multi-time.
Yep. One of my favorite features.
Recently added support for candlestick patterns to this.
Oh, nice. Okay, good.
So we can pick some of your patterns here.
Yep.
And see what the weekly or monthly.
Yeah, I saw that the other day. I forgot to bring that up, but yes, because that whole chart is a monthly. So it's showing on the chart. That's the new Black Crow on a monthly chart.
Yep.
So now,
but you're on the daily chart.
Exactly.
Or
that is
chart,
so
right?
Cool.
So I just thought that you'd appreciate that. I wasn't sure if I'd showed you that before, but
man, I appreciate you showing me that. That's really, really great because again, that gives you so many insights. At least in my opinion, like when you're because that blue square would be the candle, right? That's what that is. That's the whole. That's the whole month.
And that exactly. So.
Yep.
All right, cool, man.
Love it. Dan,
a lot. I hope that helps.
It helps tremendously. Thank you so much for giving me that walkthrough. Love it, man. Really, really pumped. Well, thanks so much. Anything cool coming up for Trendspider right around the corner?
I think I touched on all this extra fundamental stuff, right?
Yep.
So the earnings, splits, dividends, right? We're negotiating to buy really nice like earnings surprise data too.
Okay.
So like historical reactions to earnings surprises by asset.
Right.
We're also adding the ability to have comparison indicators. So you'll be able to have an indicator that's a moving average of the close price of a different asset, like SPY for relative strength comparison. There's a pretty beefy upgrade to alerts coming soon where you'll be able to run one alert against a list of symbols.
Okay.
And there's a big data upgrade, right?
Sweet.
The data upgrade, like game changing for us. I can't get into too much detail, but it'll allow people to, first off, no more bats, right? Like we'll have much better data, straight from NASDAQ and New York Stock Exchange. It won't cost anybody anything extra, right? And they'll be able to add data if they want it. So if you want like Toronto Stock Exchange, you'll be able to buy that just like in any other trading tool.
Sure.
Just like $2 or $3, and that will enable real-time futures, which I know a lot of people are looking for.
Yeah, that's gonna be sweet.
But if anybody watching, wants to give it a shot, I think we gave you a coupon that you can share.
Yep, I'll make sure to share that with everyone. And as usual, Dan, thank you, man, for your energy and your exuberance. You're incredible.
I'm trying my best. So I hope everyone liked it. Thank you for watching.
Yeah, absolutely.